Okay, Bismillah. We're live, Zakariya. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the Dadhood podcast. How are you?
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah. Doing good. Trying to keep myself cool. Temperatures here are getting dangerous.
I'm telling you, bro. I saw just recently, I was looking at the news this morning and they're saying weather warning for the weekend, looking at 30 degrees Celsius, bro.
SubhanAllah. I think I need to take follow your steps and actually check the weather. I'm just going, just planning, looking out the window and just thinking, okay, you know what, it's not a way to live, man.
Just put your arm out. I mean, I think that's what I need to wear today. Yeah, a hoodie and a t-shirt.
Funny enough, there's something I do that I picked up from like when I was in school. Yeah, that I do now just to keep, for the when I'm on long shifts. I put a bottle in the freezer and I take my ice bottle with me all day, and I get these weird looks. I was like, hey, man, it just keeps me cool, man. Those are judgments.
That's classic, bro. I remember doing that at school as well, bro. That is classic. You come to school like an ice bottle.
Yeah, and it takes a day to melt, and
even
when you refill it, mashallah, you know, I don't know, man.
I think it's like, you know, I think you need to just invest in one of those thermal bottles, right? That keep the water cold throughout the day. You do
once.
I'm telling you, bro. You do all of these like hacks from when you were 12, 13 years old.
Oh man. Yeah. And the saddest part is when you forget. So you're like, I'm going to work and I didn't put a bottle in the freezer last night.
Alhamdulillah. So Zakariya, Dadhood podcast. It's not about water balls, but it's about fatherhood, right? So usually what we try and do is add some context to this and get an idea of what it looks like for you. So let's just get an understanding of how many children you have and when did you become a dad as well? How many years ago was that?
Yes. So I've got 3 amazing kids, 1 daughter, 2 boys, Maryam, Yahya and Yaqub. Maryam's 8, Yahya's 6, Yaqub's gonna turn 3 soon, inshallah. And became a father when I was 2014, so I just turned 24. Just turned 24 when Maryam was born. Alhamdulillah.
Tabarakallah. Amazing. So in that time period, alhamdulillah, you've had 3 children. 24 is, I think you're looking at sort of within the middle. I've had some brothers that have been here, have become fathers very young in the early 20s. Some brothers who have become fathers a little bit later in their early 30s.
Yeah, it's good.
Bang in the middle, inshallah.
No, honestly, this is going to sound so weird. When I was in school, I always used to, I always said to myself, I can't wait to be a dad. Like, I'm talking about secondary school kids. Like, just the idea of, and it's, subhanAllah, our parents had really difficult, me being from a Somali background, my parents, may Allah bless them, they did so much because they came to a whole new world and had to try and raise us in a system that they just don't understand. And obviously that came with its challenges, that came with decisions that maybe were, as a young child, you're conflicted because you're trying to be, you love your parents, but at the same time, they're not getting fully the system. They might understand the legal system, but they don't understand what's going on in schools and all that. So I'll say to us, I can't wait to be a parent and actually do stuff a bit differently, where hopefully I don't have to start again. I don't have to do, if I must test us, we're tested. We are being tested. We're being tested always. So yeah, it's something I always want. So I agree, when brothers are having children young, I want with them, and along with it, they can be with them for much longer, inshallah, if it's written for them,
Inshallah. What makes you feel like you really wanted to become father so young? Like, what is it about being a young dad that get you motivated and made you feel like, yeah, I'm going to do that?
Yeah, again, it's just hopefully being around as long as possible. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills it for us. You hope for the best situation. So like the idea that, my daughter's 8 and it's only 10 years left until she's around 18. And if you think about it in the more like what the West considers an adult, and you think that time I will be in my 40s, and then who knows, maybe 5 years in my mid 40s, I could potentially be a grandfather. If my father has written it. And I think mid-40s, I can still be quite active, I'm hoping to still be going to my football sessions and stuff like that. I obviously got to watch my weight and that, but, it's like, where there's more potential out there, and it's not putting down brothers that have had kids at an older age. Everyone's life is different, and just my choices, my feeling was for myself, I want to see as much of my lineage as possible.
Of course.
So
Okay, that's good, man. It's good to get that little bit of insight. And you're right, man. Even for myself, I wanted to make sure that when I'm older, that I'm still young, to be honest. Like, my kids are older. I mean, I'm still young. Inshallah, my kids are going to be in their 20s and I'm going to be in my 40s. I think that's still, you're able to do so many things with them. So I think that would be amazing for me, to be honest. So that's something I'm definitely looking forward to, similar to with you. So, Zakariya, we were mentioning that a couple of things that you're sort of getting involved in at the moment in your life. So aside from being a dad, you're trying to take on. I can hear somebody say Baba.
No, it isn't Baba. He's an excavator. That's his thing, right? Like, yeah, he just loves excavator. And actually, my mom is on my case because she's trying to get him an excavator toy for Eid. So she said, order it before he has to come before Eid. I was like, I'll do it. So he's probably excited.
Mashallah. So that's which one is that?
That's Yaqub. All the kids come to join. Assalamu alaikum. Okay, can. Okay. Sorry for the.
No, don't worry. We're seeing the real fatherhood here now. You guys are watching on YouTube, you're gonna see this realness right here, mashallah.
I'll do it. So apologies. What was the question? I've completely missed this.
Yeah, I'm gonna shift my question and ask you about Eid. In fact, so Eid's coming up. What do you normally do with your family on Eid?
Subhanallah. So go on, Baba. Yeah, mashallah. Okay, Baba coming. Okay, Baba. Subhanallah. Eid. The last few years, we are like we're trying. Just to set up, because I'm going to move away from your question, but give me a chance. I'll land back on your question. But there's battles, there's ideological battles around our kids everywhere right now, yeah. And later on we could talk about some other madness I had to do with last week. But subhanallah, one of those things is my kids go to a state school, and the school is very few Muslims, and it's because it's really close. That's what it is. And subhanAllah, my kids, alhamdulillah, they know that they're growing up in a Muslim family, they're Muslim, that they're very proud of it, alhamdulillah. They always talk to their kids about it. I feel like they're very proud of it. And one of the things, the small challenges that we have, we don't celebrate birthdays. And so we are always getting invited to birthday parties, always, and we always refuse. And the parents, alhamdulillah, they've gotten used to it, they've understood. And so what we did in return is we're making Eid special for them. And we want them to feel like, actually, as Muslims, the only thing we're celebrating Eid. And so what we've done last couple of years, we did it first time last year, and now this year is coming up again. We're doing Eid party, a community one. So we organized it in a local school. We did it in one of the local schools last year, which changed schools just for price reasons this year. Yeah, but alhamdulillah, and it's the whole point of it is for not just our kids to feel like they're part of a massive community, but actually for the whole community and their own kids just to get together, a bit of networking. And actually we invite the parents from their classes to come and join, and a lot of parents did join last year. So that's what we got planned for Eid, not on Eid Day. Eid Day is more about me and the families. So alhamdulillah, my wife's family so it's kind of like a structure. We pray our Eid Salah as a family, we go all of us, and then we go stop by my family, we go say salam, spend some time on my aunt's house, which is like the
main house.
Yeah, the link up house, may Allah preserve her, subhanAllah, she's not even, may Allah give her good health, her health has been deteriorating, and she's still in her heart, she just wants to get up and then go to the kitchen. You're like, no, you can't. So everyone ends up going there, and then we end up in the evening spending more time at my in-laws' house, and everyone meets up. So alhamdulillah, the Eid day itself is a family day. And then the weekend after, we've got the Eid party coming up for the kids. So yeah, that's what I mean. Like, the whole point of the Eid party isn't just that, let's just have a party, but actually it's part of the ideological battle, is let them feel this is what I'm proud of. This is who I am. I'm a Muslim. And then there's no eagerness. There's no, Baba, I want to have a birthday party. I want to invite my friends. No, we had two Eid, or we had two Eid to celebrate. We're much better than a birthday. You know what I mean? Come on, you get presents both Eid. You know, what's going on? Yeah. So alhamdulillah, it's an exciting time for them. They're always getting ready to ask for stuff and say, what can we do for Eid? What are we going to do for Eid? What are we getting for Eid? All of this. So,
that's really good, mashallah. I think this is exactly, what families need, is to make sure they're focusing on how important these celebrations are in the lives of our children, especially living within a society, like you said, where there are certain ideological battles. And actually, you were mentioning you teach a madrasa. I teach one as well on a weekend. Okay, and it's just like a Saturday morning type thing. And this is the conversation I had with the children. They're sort of, the ones I teach are a bit older. They're 14, 15 years old. And I was asking them, back for after Ramadan, how was that Eid al-Fitr? How was it for you guys? And, they told me about amazing things, really. Went here, we did that, we did the fun fair, we did this. And I said, SubhanAllah, I don't know why, but for some reason I expected you guys to tell me that it was boring. But my own experience of Eid when I was a kid was just, you go to family's house and the adults get to sit together, they're enjoying themselves, and the kids are just left to do something, right?
That awkward conversation with that cousin that you didn't see since last year. Yeah.
That's the one, right? So I was like, I'm really glad that things are starting to shift for you guys, for your this next generation that comes after us, that they've actually grown up in the generation where the fun fairs are normal, where the gifts are normal, and the whole like celebration and the decorations and all that stuff is normal.
Yeah.
But I also said to them, so I said, we'll get to that in a second. So I said, that's very good, because ideologically, this is going to cement something in you guys, that you see Eid as more important than any other celebration that society pushes onto you, whether that's Valentine's, Halloween, birthdays, Christmas. So this is very good. I said there is another side to the coin of this, and I think, Zakariya, you can help with this discussion, right? Which is basically the commercialization of Eid and Ramadan. And then it's like, okay, now how far do we take it? Our kids want to demand certain gifts. The women in the household want to make certain decorations. And is it now getting on the border of like where we're sort of getting trapped with the whole commercialization of Eid and getting the offers and the decorations and the this and the that? Or is it still, to be honest, it's still necessary and we should carry on with what we do? Where do you think the fine line is?
Yeah, like I said, it is a fine line, isn't it? And actually, it needs it needs to be a team. Like the family needs to be a team. So whenever you organize something, you need to be a team. And the whole reason, one person on their own might forget the end goal, right? But when you're a team, you can remind each other what's the intentions. At the end of the day, we all know innamal a'malu binniyat. And if you can benefit, if it's becoming something commercialized, really, it might not be a popular opinion, but it just means there's more opportunities out there to be able to get. So like, if there's a company now that's suddenly selling decorations, right, then it might make it easier, right, to organize these things, right? And at the same time, there's a halal Muslim business that is benefiting from that as well, from people purchasing. So really, the commercialization of it, unless it's exploiting the Muslims, really, if it's still achieving the goal, and actually now people are actually able to spend their income on someone's business and support their business, I could argue that it's not a bad thing until you lose sight of what it's supposed to be. What is the purpose of it? If it's now encouraging kids to, now if you were selling stuff that is encouraging kids to, be on social media, or encouraging kids to waste their time or stay away from the family, or things that are contrary to the Eid vibes, then you can be like, whoa, actually no, you get to relax and you're moving away from the purpose. But if it's something that's going to help get people together and bring the community together and all of these things, and at the same time there's some commercial aspect to it, I don't see the problem behind it, to be honest. If someone's got a business idea out there, and I've seen a few, I can't remember their names, but I've seen some businesses last couple of years where they were offering Eid celebrations, Eid decorations, all of this that you could purchase. Okay, mashallah, I would argue that it's not a bad thing. And while my kids are, while I'm in this battle, there's big things out there that I'm battling against, and like if I'm getting support, if I can purchase this thing as a kind of thing, okay, to make my rope stronger and keep my kids, in line, then alhamdulillah, then I think it's a blessing, and maybe it shows the impact of the Muslims and their strong identity. It's probably that. And now maybe you might see some big supermarkets, they got whole aisles for Eid sometimes. Morrison's, my local Morrison's, mashallah. You'll go to some Tesco's in some areas, not all areas. But where you might go to a big Tesco and suddenly there's like a whole halal section or world food section, but it's mainly this halal. And you're like, you know what, mashallah, the Muslims are making an impact. The impact is being seen. It's just now the ideological side of it now. Yeah. That impact is purely commercial benefit, right? But we need to make sure that we're not being dragged in terms of our ideological side of it. So that's where I see it. It's as long as it benefits my kids and it's helping me in my battle, then
good. I think that the underpinning message to that is the families who are purchasing these things need to make sure that they are still pushing the right message of Eid to children. So utilize all of those offers and those businesses and those aisles in the supermarket. As long as you are letting your children know that we're doing this for Eid and what Eid really is, you still got the core of Eid there, which is the celebration after Ramadan, after the sacrifice.
So after the sacrifice.
Letting them know that Eid is this celebration beyond the sacrifice of Ramadan. It's attached to that. It's attached to the worship of Allah, that in the morning we go for salah, we make multiple takbirat, and then we go out and we celebrate, right? Just keeping that core part there, because if that core part goes, then kids will only see Eid as a celebration, and it will only be a commercial celebration.
Or the Muslim version of Christmas, it will just become literal. Yes,
that's exactly what happened, right?
You wake up in the morning, gifts are there, and there's no Christmas tree. There's
an Eid tree I've seen. There's a moon and a star that they make out of like some sort of tree.
Yes. Whoa, is it? No way. I don't know. I don't know why I'm still get surprised by some things. I still get shocked by some things.
2023, man, anything can happen.
I don't know, but that point you're saying is so important. Yeah, absolutely. And I'll be honest, even for myself, sometimes that's what I mean. You need a team to bring to get, because you would forget yourself. Sometimes you're so focused on like, I'm organizing it. I need to get a balance of and you're like, well, what message are we going to give to the people that are coming? And so then one member of the team, maybe the wife, will say, oh, actually, we need to add a reminder in there. We need to put in a message. Maybe we need to put some imagery to remind that about what is the story of Eid and what are the rituals of Eid and all of these things. So yeah, it's definitely a balance, but and that's where the team comes in. And even if the team's a family or if it's a community, and it's so important. Even us, we've started like a community project. It's kind of like just word of mouth at the moment. And it's part of so even our Eid party is under that name. We call it a Rahimun community project. And that's the idea. It's North London in Archway at the moment. So it just literally, we just organized last year. We organized a trip to Legoland as families. Just literally, families pay for their tickets, and you have to make your way there. And because they get the discount with the group tickets, managed to organize a trip there, and it was really lovely. And some of the families are begging, like, okay, when's the next one? What's happening this year? We did a sports day in Regent's Park, and that was really nice as well. The kids just getting together, and the idea is that these kids just get together and find other Muslim friends. Yeah, this is what I mean by the team. When it comes to Eid, when it comes to all these projects, you need a team. Or when I say team, it's not just employees. I'm talking about like if it's a community or if it's a group of people that can contribute and just keep each other in check. Sometimes you just don't know when you forget your goal, and if you're alone, who's going to correct you? Well, man,
it's beautiful to see that you've got this community around where parents have just sort of come together and said, let's get together and let's make this formalized organization to ensure that we are working together to do things for our children. So outside of Eid, are there other things that you guys are doing?
Yeah. So every Sunday, alhamdulillah, so the story behind it, I've been teaching in the madrasa since I was like 18. So that'll be like 2007, 2008. So that's the madrasa I used to go to as a kid as well. SubhanAllah, with the amazing madrasa. It's called Al-Rahma. It's in East Finchley at the moment. They're based in East Finchley. they were in the news in 2013 because they during the EDL stuff and the League Rugby stuff, there was an arson attack on our building.
Yes. Do you know, I recently went to visit the whole new structure they have in East.
Yeah.
Meet all the brothers. I had a chance to go to mashallah the elder brother, his house. They sat down together.
Yeah, mashallah, I got to meet them along with that. So may Allah reward them, and I hope they see this. I'll always make dua for them. They're always in my heart, and even they've got an annual ceremony coming up, so I'm gonna go see them. So this year they gave a bit of leave, let's just say, because I had opportunities to focus on myself on certain things I need to focus on. So I haven't been teaching this academic year. So what happened was some of the students that had been teaching the previous years, their parents, and actually one of them, he got in touch with me on WhatsApp. So obviously they're a bit older, they don't go to the madrasa anymore, they've left. They got in touch and he was saying, they've made like a group of friends that they were studying together at the madrasa, and they were saying, we need something, So I invited them to our local masjid in Archway Masjid. It's quite a small masjid, Droger Road, and just every Sunday they come down, alhamdulillah, just we do a youth circle every Sunday, open up. It's open to everyone, but mashallah, these are the young brothers that organized it, and without them, what would have happened? My Sundays would have just been a normal Sunday. So there's that, alhamdulillah, we do, and obviously the work we do, Rahimun, we've got some adult Quran classes planned. Got another idea in the works. I don't know if I should say it on the video, but that's cooking classes for brothers. So
MashaAllah.
Yeah, not me. I'm not teacher. I'm gonna be one of the students.
Yeah, before you start.
Yeah. Before anyone starts messaging me like, bro, you can't cook, bro. One particular brother, I know he'll message me as soon as he sees this. Like, what are you talking about? So yeah, no. So these particular ideas, they're out there, and alhamdulillah, the idea is that community feeling. And as a community, if you can bring the brothers together, I think ever since I was young, one of the most amazing hadith I ever come across was the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying, لا تدخلوا الجنة حتى تؤمنوا ولا تؤمنوا حتى تحابوا أولا أدلكم على شيء إذا فعلتموه تحاببتم أفشوا السلام بينكم. That you will not enter Jannah until you believe, and you will not believe until you love one another. And it's just how can we bring a community together and get them to love each other? And that's the motivation behind this, is this idea of getting everyone together and getting them to love each other. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave us one amazing advice at the end of that hadith, that should I not tell you an action that if you do it, you'll love one another, is spread the salams amongst you, so greetings or peace amongst each other. So those are a whole load of projects that are going on at the moment. It comes with its challenges as a dad as well.
SubhanAllah, that's beautiful, man. I think definitely any fathers who are listening to this, if they don't have something like that in the community, they should try and replicate it, because these kind of initiatives is really what brings the community together. Sometimes what we do is that we rely a lot on the masjid, and rightly so. Obviously, the masjid should be the hub and everything should be happening there. But sometimes you're having community with the masjid is not really moving forward. It's not doing anything in terms of activities for the community. It's just there maybe to pray salah in. And, you engage with them, and things don't really go forward. And then brothers and the community sort of just, give up. And they say, well, nothing we can do. The masjid doesn't even do anything. But here, you guys have come together as parents, as families, and said, let's just get together and let's think about what do we need as a family, right? If, okay, mothers, and what do they need? They need to get together. They need to do something, right? So what could we organize for them? Brothers, what do we need? We need to know how to cook. Okay, so let's get some cooking together, right? As an example. And the kids, what do the kids need? Okay, they need maybe sports days, these festivities, all this kind of stuff. We need some halaqas as well to keep the iman going. And this is all organized through families, which is beautiful, because the children get to see how families can come together and build together, not with their iman and with their socially and everything else around that. And I think it's very beautiful. It's quite powerful as well, to be honest. If you have this idea replicated in so many communities, how strong would the community be together?
Yeah. Can I add to that as well? One of the things as well is that even if the child attends these sessions and doesn't benefit it doesn't learn anything from it, just has fun, right? Just has fun in that session. I'm telling you, they benefited in terms of their identity because they are around other Muslims. It's like there's such a massive difference when like my kids are at school and they just pick up from and sometimes, and it's not just bad. I'm not saying it's bad things like in terms of inherently bad, but they might be different to our culture. Yeah. So when I say, for example, that they might pick up birthday parties, for example. The reason we don't do it like the reason I don't really do this is because it's not one of the celebrations from Islam. Then the people that are doing it doesn't necessarily mean that they are evil people, right?
Yeah.
So, do you know what I mean? Like so like now when my kids are around those who are having birthday parties all the time, they're gonna have that feeling like, oh, I'm the only one that's not doing it. But when they're around Muslims and they're around like-minded people, even if they go to that session and they didn't pick up anything, but at least they saw others in hijab, they saw others like praying, and they saw all these things. Then they grow up with that, and then inside they're Muslim, right? And then the rest of it can be built on. But if the foundations is weak and is wobbly, subhanAllah, you can't wait until it's too late. I've had situations where parents were forcing their kids to come at 13, 14 to madrasa, and a child just in hell, he's thinking, what am I doing here? He doesn't want to be there, rebel, and then to them is they think you're just gonna work some kind of some trick, and you're gonna brainwash them, and suddenly they'll be. But no, it starts from young. Build that foundation. Let them be around others who believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that it just becomes normal. Let it just be normal for them, and that's it. I should mention also that in this case, the masjid, our local masjid, has done amazing and a lot of support, mashallah. For the Sunday halaqah, they give it to us for free. Like literally, we just go and we just use it along Barak. And sometimes the masjid, even if it's not them because of like maybe resource difficulties, maybe they're not able to have to give the manpower. If you're able to come with that and say, look, we've got the manpower, we just want to do this in the masjid, can you give us the space? And even if they're just giving you the space, that is amazing, So sometimes like the masjid, even if they're not able to provide the services, you can come to them and give that idea to them, and so if there are other brothers that are gonna try to replicate similar idea and bring families together, trust me, you need to do it because there are families out there that.
So how would you recommend to go about doing something like this? What steps did you take, or what steps would you recommend people should take?
It's the first, build a network. So you're gonna have friends, right? You have friends that have kids. You have I'm assuming there's a lot of assuming here. Right? You'll have inshallah, you have friends that have children. Maybe others that have children. Maybe there's other parents that you can connect with other parents in your school whose kids go to that school. Generally, you find in general people will know others who have similar age kids. Maybe you have a brother and sister, and you have cousins that are all similar ages, and you can start like that. And it's about getting together and just thinking of, all right, where can we start? Okay, let's have a first session. And what you kind of need is someone who's kind of good with engaging children. All right, there's sometimes where you got to know. The first step is bring them together and just let them have fun and let them know that the place that they're coming to is not just going to be another academic institute where you have to, wear a uniform and sit down quietly and repeat after me and all that. So give them something that they see, because in school you'll see that they have all these activities that engages children that they can't wait to get to school. They can't wait to go there. And now you got to think, okay, how can I get this child in a way that he can't wait, or she can't wait to come to this,
Yeah.
And, if it's just these boring things and you're not thinking outside the box, you're not thinking of activities for them to do, they're not going to want to come. So the first step is network with people, and then just start something, just maybe someone's house, just say, okay, look, I'll do the first one. And just as it gets bigger and bigger, and there's a demand for a larger space, then you're going to have to find somewhere bigger, and from there, carry on, but the first step is network and get people together. I think that's the first step for any idea. And later on, you can think of names later and you can do stuff together. Get people together, that's the main thing.
MashaAllah. Jazakallah khair for that advice. I think brothers who are listening should definitely try and take that board. Even sisters, to be honest, the mothers could start it and
Absolutely,
could follow through. I don't see an issue with that as well. Okay, so this is one of the many projects that you're involved in, right? You're involved in, subhanallah, many things. So give me a bit of a flavor here. What are the kind of things that you're involved in, mashallah?
Yes.
How do you find the time to do them?
Oh, yeah, the time is yeah, let's just say I think the missus in the house somewhere. If she hits time, let me always say, but it's time.
Yeah. I manage my time well.
Yeah. Spend time with it. So I'm running in the background. Yeah, let me just look over my shoulder and check where close the door. I say, no, I'm joking. SubhanAllah, like there's the Sunday halaqas, there's my work, my full-time work, like this is and it's shift work as well, the job I do, and so that means that sometimes I'm doing night shifts, sometimes I finish, like last night I finished at midnight, and then sometimes I'm doing early shifts, which are really the best ones, to be honest, because then you get the rest of the evening with the kids and all that. So that takes a massive chunk of my time. Then you got this Rahimon project. I like to do a lot of social activities with brothers, so to try and keep people together as much as possible. I'll do my football sessions as well, so that I don't know how I find time for that, but that's a priority up there. And also the masjid, alhamdulillah, we try to do as much as we can for the masjid. I'm on a couple of khutbah rotas for some masajid. Alhamdulillah, another masjid also approached regarding some youth activities for them. So it's mainly trying to be involved in a lot of youth activities. SubhanAllah, I've actually even cut down recently. I used to be involved in a group through my madrasa called the Citizens UK, and very I benefit so much from them in terms of community organizing and actually how the balance of power, so to affect change. And I had the experience of that recently where the balance of power hadn't really tipped it over, so I wasn't able to sort something out, but still able to take my own stance with regards to the school and some of the stuff that they were doing. So subhanAllah, and when it comes to your time, what you're finding is at the same time you're doing all these things, but you have to remember that let's just say you've got these strings that are being pulled at from all sides. Maybe your kids are wanting your time, saying, oh, you're always busy. Your wife saying you're always busy. And I think a lot of brothers forget we're not just husbands and fathers, we're also sons, and then your mum wants your time and your father wants your time, and there's other family members as well. So we're nephews and nieces. So your uncle, my uncle's calling at the moment, starts calling back after, and so there's always someone that wants your time. And actually, I make the argument that actually sometimes people don't realize that as men, we take it on, we carry on, and we balance this. So sometimes someone feels like okay, this guy's not giving me any time, and then we have to try it. Okay, I need to try and make things right with that person. And then maybe it's even your own kids that, oh, Bubba's always busy. Oh, you're going to work again? And you're like, okay, let me not make them a promise I can't keep. Look, I'm going to work, but let's think of something that we're going to do, something else. And it's the challenge is you can't please everyone at all the time. And yeah, I think being a dad, I don't know if others can relate to that, but that's one of the main challenges I find is the strings are being pulled from all directions. And alhamdulillah, you just do it. This is the role you took on when you got married. You knew that you're going to be a husband. You knew you're going to be a father, and you're never going to stop being a son. So this is what happens. You're never going to stop being a brother, And so you just got to do it. You just got to do it sometimes. My proudest moment sometimes, and I remember this is one time I had in my car, passenger seat, mum, I had my wife behind me and my sister and my daughter. So like all different sides, So mum there, wife, sister, daughter, and it's just like wow, like all sides, alhamdulillah, and you're trying to fulfill all those roles, and you know what, subhanAllah, sometimes it's what keeps you going. It's what keeps you going rather than what puts you down. I think it's how your mentality is. Are you going to be positive about it? You're going to be like, oh my God, this is too much. Like, it's not too much. La yukallifu Allahu nafsan illa wus'aha. Allah will never burden us on more than their capability, what they're able to carry. So go and do it. You got this,
What do you think is the role of the man in the house like that? Like, do you feel like the role of the man is to take on all of that burden and sort of drive things forward, or do you think that there's a point where it gets to where actually the man has to sort of maybe take a moment to look after himself as well, and maybe not take so much on? What do you think?
It's totally a correct argument that thing can get too much, absolutely, and but that it's the hadith, subhanAllah, I don't want to misquote it, كلكم راع كلكم مسؤول عن رعيته, right? That you all a shepherd and you all in charge, or if you're accountable to your flock, right? Yeah. So now, if that's your situation, if you've taken on that flock now, then you need to take on that responsibility. And if you're finding that certain things get too much, then the responsibility doesn't mean that you individually have to do every single thing. If you have a lot of support, if your wife is very supportive, if you have understanding family, and alhamdulillah, sometimes situation is that my mum, might help out with watching the kids for a bit, while me and my wife need to do something. It's an amazing support network that you have that allows you to do those things as a man, and it's not. I think one of the challenges I have as a guy is sometimes asking for help. Sometimes it's a tough thing, and it's probably one of the weaknesses of my character, that that ego where I can do it. Don't worry about me. I'll do it. I swear out, even though it's crumbling around me. So I've got this. Leave it. Don't worry about that thing, that wall breaking down. I've got this. Yeah. But it's sometimes maybe pulling back and thinking, you know what, actually, this is not effective, and this is not achieving the goals I'm trying to achieve, and I need the support of, even if, like I said, like sometimes as a man, you think you can do all yourself, but your female family members are there, and they're strong, and they're able to take on things, and they're able to do things. And when you do things as a family, you're probably much more effective, So and the support and finding time for yourself. The one thing I do is play football, and alhamdulillah, that's more than enough. I take any frustrations I've on not on anyone's legs, on the football, on the foot. Just on the football, and alhamdulillah, you come out of it, and subhanAllah, that little things like that, when you're with brothers, I can go to a football session with something on my mind, and an hour later or 2 hours later, and then we're trying to get you, like, it will be gone, and I'll come back with a whole nice mood, like fresh mood, because you're just out of that situation. You put into another, you just forget about it for a while, and you just think about it after, and you drive home, you're like, you know what, why not just do this, and that would have been sorted. What am I stressing about, So you do need the time for yourself. You're right, absolutely, and maybe take on it too much. Sometimes you end up doing nothing.
What are some of the things that you do to try and balance your time? I know you mentioned that it's hard, it's not perfect, but are there certain practical things that you put in place to try and manage your responsibilities?
Yeah. So this is gonna sound so cool, bro. Like she's not an employee; she's my wife, right? But we have a shared calendar, right? And this is something that I tried to do before, and we never kept up. But alhamdulillah, what it does is, because my shift work is the biggest challenge, right? So sometimes finding time around it, and I feel really bad sometimes that it's like trying to make an appointment with your husband. It's like, no, like it shouldn't be like that. But because it allows for planning, right? It allows for planning. So if you know that next week I'm on night shifts, then at least then we can plan around what we're gonna do the days I'm off, and subhanAllah, and that's where the teamwork comes in. Now that I can, I provide the information, and she can then, make the plans for that to happen, right? So, like, that's the kind of one good thing that we've done is that kind of shared calendar. So I'll just put in stuff, and she'll put in stuff, and then trying to just sometimes sit down and talk about ideas for Ar-Rahimun, what ideas we have and what we can do. The Eid party, my father, she's the main one who's been organizing it more than me. So, alhamdulillah, that's been going really well. So it's all of these. What else do we do? I think that's the main thing. Just sitting down, talking, and the calendar as well. That's the kind of being able to put stuff on paper. For myself, it's just easier to see sometimes. Oh, actually, yeah. You know what? Let me double book. Okay, yeah. Actually, I've got this. So that's something where you can keep track of what you're doing.
Yeah, this is definitely very, very important. And you're right that the whole time management thing is something that is very common across all dads. Conversations that I've been having more recently in the past few weeks with various fathers, even on the podcast, but even more so off the podcast, where that's the common thing that we're finding that fathers are struggling with. And there are some practical techniques, like you're saying, that are out there, shared calendars, this and that. But it's also, like you said, about the mindset of knowing that this is your responsibility. You take it on board, but you make sure you have that time for your football and your self-care and stuff like that, because then you're just going to totally burn out and you're not going to be able to come back to your family with that energy. Like you said, once you go football, you come back with a new mood. That means your family get a renewed version of yourself. Your children get to see you not in that stress mode and actually in a mode in which you're ready to engage. Your wife is, she's happy that you're ready to engage with her rather than coming with your own stresses. And a lot of the times what we do as men is that we stress about something, but we don't want to share that stress.
Oh, yeah. Right? I'm guilty.
But our wife already knows that we're stressed. She can see it from your body language and from your mood and everything. But the only thing that she can't tell is exactly what is the thing that's stressing you out, because you haven't communicated it. So sometimes I think it's actually worse that we keep it in, because they already know you're stressed out, and then you're just kind of just not communicating it, right? And sometimes if you communicate something, it can go a little bit of a way for your spouse to be maybe able to help you in that situation. But maybe sometimes you have to keep it to yourself.
Yeah. It's a balance. I don't know. I'm more of the guy. I'll keep to myself, because I think part of my thinking of it, and it's not something I consciously do, it's something I've just grown up doing. I remember when I was young, a lot of people used to tell me their problems, and I would never share mine. And part of it was growing up. I was just kind of like, I don't know what the consequences will be of me sharing certain issues. I don't know, like, do I really want to say this to this person, and then later on it comes back later on, so, but also at the same time, I want to be this example of resilience, right? And it's something that's kind of lost, I think, in the last few years. Like people, this is gonna sound so. Again, I'm no expert. It's just the way I see my life and the way I see things is, if people worked a little bit harder on resilience, sometimes we wouldn't crumble so easily. I don't know. I feel like a little bit goes wrong, and I see it sometimes in my own children. Sometimes I feel like I'm trying to. Maybe I put a bit too much pressure on them sometimes as well. Like, for example, I'll give you a good example. When my kids fall over, they have to stand up themselves. They stand up themselves, unless I see it's like a real, like big, like okay, there's blood gushing. Okay, I'm not gonna say I'm careful, but like, no man, if it's 2, it's about to turn 3, but when he falls over, it's just encouraging. Hey, look, calm down, you're okay, get up, okay, stand up, okay, dust your hands, dust it off, and then he forgets it. It's like he didn't get hurt at all. And I know his knee must be hurting a little bit or something, but it sounds harsh. But I feel like the world is much more harsh out there. And again, I'm no expert. This is just my lived reality, and that resilience is gonna go a long way, I believe. And that idea that, and the downside of it is that, do they become now so closed and they'll never express themselves, and they'll be scared to say, "Oh, I'm feeling sad." Yeah, there's a risk of that, and so that's why sometimes I like to, like, when I see my daughter, she's got a bit of a mood going on. You look sad. Go on, what's going on? And I know she hasn't mentioned it first because she thinks I'm going to say, "Oh, come on, it's not that big deal." No, but then I realize I'll catch myself and I'll be like, "Okay, no, tell me what's going on." Oh, well, Yahya did this, and he had, I don't know, he got to play 20 minutes on the Nintendo or something, and then I didn't get tired. And okay, let's talk about it. This is what happened. This is what, and all right, now let's actually, you're right. Sometimes telling them you're right is like, okay, you're listening to them. They feel we're actually valued. So it's a tough balance. That's the thinking behind that. It's this the trying to grow resilience, but at the same time, if you put too much pressure, you don't want it to break. So that's where I'm coming from, where it comes to not telling stuff and try to be an example of resilience. And but at the same time, I'm still learning, because being married for 10 years and I'm still learning stuff when it comes to my wife, and it's learning that actually men and women are very different. We know that anyways, but you'll always learn a different aspect of how you're different. And you're like, oh, actually, you know what? Let me not even try to understand that. Let me just be supportive and let me just be there. Obviously, that's not always how it turns out. But that's we just trying our best, subhanAllah, you know. And
now, of course, this is a delicate balance between the relationships and how to deal with them. But I think you mentioned a very good point, is that there's a balance between keeping at something, being resilient, and then at points knowing when to open up and knowing when to allow somebody into that part of your life or that problem that you're going through, right? And the same way, that is the same way that you teach your children, that carry on, be resilient, don't complain so much. But there's times when you catch them and you allow them to complain, allow them to get their emotions out. And to be honest, this is our same relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we have to just keep striving and going past these tests and the hurdles. But there's times when we will cry out to him and we will ask him and we'll make dua to him. And it's about just making sure that we are catching those moments so that we don't become so hard on one side or become so soft and reliant on everybody else on the other side. This is a very, very hard thing to find, but I think this is where, you know, in this arena of fatherhood, in this arena of marriage, these are where all of these characteristics are developed. And sometimes brothers, they say, you know, I'm going to delay my marriage, or if they're married, I'm going to delay my kids because I need to work on myself. And you're right, you shouldn't get into a marriage if you have a huge issue that you haven't addressed, or you shouldn't bring kids in if you and your spouse have a huge issue that you haven't addressed. That's correct. But there are certain things that you're only really going to truly be able to explore and address until you get into this arena, because that is when the arena is going to really show you maybe the flaws of your thinking and your character that are going to expose.
And you know, it's right. Sometimes, sometimes there's blessings that come with getting involved in these things, subhanAllah. You know, every single child of mine, subhanAllah, Allah subhanahu blessed me with some kind of improvement in my salary. Every single time, subhanAllah, every single time. Maryam, I got promoted from part-time to full-time at my first job, subhanAllah. And at the time, when I think back to how much I was earning in that job, I was like, subhanAllah, like, first of all, how was I surviving? But alhamdulillah, as a married kid, but you know, just from the part-time to full-time was such a blessing. And then with Yahya, I got a whole new job, subhanAllah. And then with Yaqub, again, another, I think what happened was there was some agreement, and we got some union agreement, and we got some uplift in our salary. I was thinking to myself, subhanAllah, like, you know, so with Yaqub, so at the end, the third, and you know, that promise from Allah subhanahu that if he's poor, then we will provide for him. Like, you know, that Allah subhanahu is not going to leave you to, like, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tested you, and you are fulfilling that test and you're going to do your best, and then know that Allah subhanahu, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes a promise, then it's the truth. And you know, just getting married young, I was 22 when I got married, and you know, having these kids young, it's just been a real blessing to my life, you know. And I think sometimes that's an argument to have kids early in that, and I do not want to sound like, because some of my closest friends have had children late, I've got married late, and they know my views. They know that that's why I got married early. That's why I've had children early. But that doesn't mean I'm some expert. Live my life. Yeah. No, that's just Zakariya's life. That's it. And that's what I found. But when it comes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's blessings, if you know there's blessings there, then check it out. You know, go and see if you can collect some of those blessings. You know, and especially when you have children, there's blessings behind it. And you know, it's just amazing. And I've seen brothers, you know, there's a brother in our area, and he's not the only one, but because I've got another family member as well, where they've had like 6 daughters, and they're going, you know, mashallah, you know, this is the best thing that's happened to me, you know, like, because of the blessings that come with it, and the hadith I mentioned about daughters and all these things, and you're like, they're so excited that the reward that's waiting for them for having these children, you know. So it's enough that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned that he wants his ummah to be the biggest Yawm al-Qiyamah, you know, this idea, this encouragement to have children, you know, I think is enough of an encouragement. But everyone, like you said, everyone's got their situations, you know. So when we talk about like dads, right, like we mentioned some of the projects I was doing, but you think about dads in general, like there's so much going on around them, right? And the reason why sometimes people might think, oh, this dad's not doing anything, or because he's just keeping quiet and getting on with it. But you know, it's there's so much going around them. They need the support and everything around them, man. I mean, I'll make it easy, man. It's a situation. It's a battle out there. Especially with this.
You know, I remember, like you, I really wanted to be a father. From like secondary school days. Like, I'm gonna be a young dad. You know, it's gonna be thick. Yeah, and I used to imagine in my head that the only way to really be a good father is if you're super involved in your children's life and you're capturing every moment and you're there for everything. And slowly I started to realize that, yes, that's important. I'm not downplaying that at all. But there are certain fathers that are out there that are amazing fathers because they're just doing the simple things for their family that allows for their family just to carry on and get by. Like there's some dads out there that are not doing these things or taking their kids on holidays and buying them loads of gifts and giving the, going, in the morning, sitting down with them in the cafe and all of this like amazing stuff that is good, right? But all they might be doing is they're going to work, they're getting the money in, they're giving their kids a good night kiss before they go to bed, they're giving them a greeting when they wake up, and they're just allowing the family to carry on without any worries. Yeah. And that dad might not be the most active in the community, and he might not be coming to the masjid all the time, and he might not be, somebody who's on it with Arabic or Quran and this, that, whatnot. He might not be achieving all these goals, but what he's doing to just keep his family going is enough for us to say that he's a good father.
Absolutely, man.
And actually we see this from the lives of some of the scholars. Some of the scholars, I think it's Ibn Rajab I was reading recently, that his father was somebody like that, who his main focus was just bringing the money into the family. But that allowed Ibn Rajab to become Ibn Rajab. And now Ibn Rajab mentions him in his books. And his father gets our dua. When we read his books, we make dua for his father because that's what Ibn Rajab wants. So, sometimes you don't have to do everything. Sometimes, any dad that is listening, sometimes what you're doing it.
Trust me, man. SubhanAllah, it's so true, right? What you're saying that there's fathers out there that they have to go away for months at a time, and they're still the most beloved person in the family. Like, when they come back, it's you look at through any community, you see dads are going out there and do it, and it's just because you might not be with the child day in, day out does not make you a bad dad. Like, man, trust me, man, there's so much we're doing for our kids, and it's the idea, and you think to yourself, subhanAllah, like I remember when my missus got pregnant, and I'm not saying I was like the stig or anything, but the way I used to drive, like I would say, is very different to the way I drive now. Yeah, so she's got pregnant with 20. I'm 23 year old. I was driving around with a 7-seater at the time because of my family, anyways. That's a fear at the time. Yeah, some ways, you know who you are. Yeah. So I'll just be quite reckless, right? Let's just say I'm the clean license, but reckless on the bounds of the law. And I remember the day I found out she's pregnant. I found myself doing 30 on a 30. I guess these days it's 20 on a 20, but I was doing 30 on a 30, and I remember while I was driving saying to myself, yo, like, like it's just my mindset was kind of like, okay, I've got to be there. I'm not going to be putting myself in situations where I'm just going to ruin my life for while I've got this next generation from me coming along, and it just changed the whole mindset now. Like you're looking out for them, any kind of danger that's coming towards them, you're alert to it. SubhanAllah, it's a whole different mindset compared to when I was, or before I was a dad, and all of this adds to the responsibilities, right? I was saying, about the battles that are going on in my school last week. They had a Pride celebration week, right? So then now what they did is they advertised it quite late, and they didn't allow for any time for scrutiny. And SubhanAllah, for me, I'm not scared to teach my kids about these different groups and the different kind of things. So alhamdulillah, and the reason behind that, right, is to take the wow factor off it, because when it's wow to them, then it's like a lot of interest. But if I can control that wow factor, and I teach them it. So I show them this particular group and this particular sign with the rainbow and all. But then I teach them who they are. I say to them, okay, that's them and this is us. So leave them alone, and don't get involved in abusing them or in attacking them or anything like that. Live your life. Yeah. That's literally what the government's telling the schools to teach. But then the schools go a step further and they go on to celebrating and they're telling kids that you can be part of this, and they're pushing the agenda and all of these things, right? So then when they did it on the Thursday before the weekend. So then the Monday they got Pride Celebration Week. So I emailed the head teacher. I said, look, this is not fair. I've got religious beliefs. This has been very last minute. We don't get involved in celebrations. The class, they know we don't do even birthday celebrations. Yeah. We don't get involved in Christmas, Halloween, any of these things. So I said to them, look, we're going to remove our children for the week. And then he replied back saying, oh, unauthorized absence and all this. Okay, fine. So we didn't. And alhamdulillah, in reaction, we've actually now got a WhatsApp group of different parents in the group. But this is part of the battle. And as Ali was talking to one of your episodes where you talk about hijrah, right?
Yeah.
And it's one of the things that comes to mind. You're thinking, man, I need to protect these kids. There's no point dangling them over a fire here when there's a safer a place where, we're a bit further away from the fire. Why am I going to dwell somewhere that's so close and there's a risk of falling in when I can take them a bit further away? And there are other risks there, but these kind of things is what's part of the battle. And when you're around and you become a dad and you're trying to protect your kids from every direction, you're like, oh man, what's going on with this ideological attacks? The physical attacks are obvious. The ideological attacks are the ones. These kids are now, they're going to school today, so now from 9 to 3, I don't know what they're going to talk to them about. I'll give them a little briefing this morning. We had a team talk this morning. Listen, you need to tell me if the teachers are trying to talk to you about last week, and tell me what they say. So they got their orders, but it's part of that as well. This protective attitude as well. That these battles that we're going through, and subhanAllah.
This is a big thing at the moment, of course, and alhamdulillah, there's a lot of efforts that are being done, especially by Brother Yusuf, who runs RSC Islamic. I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but he's putting together a lot of resources.
Did something come out recently, like a train that was going around WhatsApp document? Yeah, mashallah, I've got that. Allah, mashallah, may Allah bless them. That's
I mean, he's actually training up some parents on how they can understand these issues and how they can respond to their schools and things like this. So it's really good, and there's a lot of stuff coming out. And I think definitely this is one of the battles where Muslim parents have to be on job, with pride, LGBT things that are being taught in schools, because like you said, between 9 and 3, you're not involved in these conversations. It's only the kids and their teachers. So the more that the parents can get themselves to understand what's happening and engaging with the school, like you did, you went out your way and said, look, I'm going to pull my children out of school, right?
Yeah.
You didn't just stop and say, oh, well, it's too late now, they're going to have to deal with it. No, you took an active measure, and even though probably the school didn't want you to do that, you kind of stood your ground. And these are the kind of things where there are going to be a lot of parents out there that are going to find those conversations very hard and very awkward, especially where they might, we're sort of a generation of parents that were born here and we have a bit of confidence with the system.
Yeah,
there's going to be still parents that are coming here from a different place in the world. They don't have that confidence on how to work around the system and speak in that kind of language and demand things in that type of way. And so it's very important for brothers like you and me and others to try and lead that sort of battle and lead the way, especially for those parents. Because if we don't do it, then who else is really going to stand up for their children and make sure that, our views are being given the right airtime, essentially? I mean, all other views are available. So why are our views not there and not available? So it's very important.
And it's remembering as well that, some families don't have the background that we have. Like, it's like you mentioned. So I think it was the Wednesday or something. I was going to the bank. I had to walk past the school, right? So one of the parents that's in the WhatsApp group, so I saw him. He's walking around the house. I won't name him, mashallah. And it's not putting him down anyway in case he watches this. But he said to me, we had a conversation about it. He said, "Oh, did you bring your kids?" I said, "No." I said, "Oh, you're braver than me." He goes, so he was basically saying like, I'm worried about what they might do if I don't bring the kids. I was like, no, I was saying to him that it's fine. Like, I get it. All right. So he still took his kids and he said, I'm just going to talk to them at home about it and try to counteract it at home. And it's that the idea that some parents, maybe their life isn't like, without, you use this term practicing, right? Like, but in a way that you mean like, they're just living a normal life, right? They're not involved in any da'wah, they're not involved, and their kids are just growing up as, normal. But then they have this alarm in their head, this iman alarm there, where they're going, no, this ain't right in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But they like I said, they don't have the confidence, and this is where the community comes in, right? If you have the network, then you have the support. But if you're alone, then you're a lone sheep, as they say, right? And so it's but they're not going to go look for you. They're not looking for the communities. So you need to go look for them and say, hey, look, come, let's just be part of the community. We'll give you some support, give you some help. And, that way the community becomes stronger. Then you have a balance of power. You can go sit at the table and say, hey, look, we've got now. I wish more parents, a couple of families, I don't think there was enough of us that withdrew our kids. But there was a few. I wasn't the only one. And, but it wasn't enough. I think a lot of parents have got a bit worried about the reply that they got about the unauthorized absence. And I was about to reply back, and I got some advice from someone who's a senior team leader somewhere else. And he was saying that, if you continue too much, you might end up being made to look like the person that's badgering them. And then this kind of issue. So he advised me to hold back a little bit, just see what happens after the week, and then take it. But don't go attack them, because you're gonna be made out to this extremist kind of parent who's just forces that. And this is how the battle goes. And I'm hoping the kids can see what I'm doing and be like, you know what, like Baba, he has this, the strength about him that he's able to defend his views, and he's proud of his identity as a Muslim. And so it's that as well. You can't just let them walk all over us. Actually show them, look, this is my rights, right? This is the rights that you've put in your definition of British values. This is the rights that you've put in all these definitions. So I'm going to fight for these rights, and hopefully the kids see that example.
Well, I feel like I have really, really important. So Zakariya, just to end on a lighter note, inshallah, is so you got 3 children, mashallah, different, a little bit of an age range there. I just want you to reflect a little bit and tell me what in the past week has been the best moment with those 3 kids. You could tell me individually or all together as a family, but it would be nice to hear any nice little highlight you've had in the past week.
Subhanallah, I guess with little man Yaqub, mashallah, his development has been faster than other 2, because he's learning from them. So he's developed into talking and all this and that. So he's been really pushing. His understanding. He seems to have this idea that Eid is coming along. He's really pushing for an excavator. So then what happened was, I was on the phone to my mum, and we're in the car, and the Bluetooth's on, and then he calls her Dada. So he heard her voice. I'm just gonna say, I'm just trying to call my mum, because with mum, if you don't call her a particular day, rightly so, she'll get upset, because it's like, well, okay, so you got your own family now, yeah? That's okay. So you're not gonna call your mum. So I was giving her a daily call and giving her and say salam, and then he's in the car. I thought he was sleeping. He went Dada, Dada. He's shouting so that she can hear it. She was like, yes, yeah. I want an excavator. But because he knows his grandma is gonna make sure it happens. So mashallah, so with him, he knows who to ask for certain.
Mashallah.
He knows when he's going to one of the houses, when he goes, I want to the Aisha's house, my aunt's like, oh yeah, so he'll know, okay, well, the Aisha, that's my auntie, the one that I said that our house is the place everyone goes to. Yeah, so he'll know, okay, that what kind of food he might get. So mashallah, so that was what happened the other day with him. Yahya, Allah Barik, he's 6-year-old. His football. And one of the funniest things, one of my proud moments, but it's going to sound so weird, right? So he's playing football, and I'm there watching him, and he gets tackled, and he gets fouled. I saw it as well. But he got fouled up in it. So he got up and he went, And he's a 6-year-old boy. And I say, where did you learn to do that? Because that's just a standard. Like, he's looking at the ref and he's going, ref. I thought, so when is this boy becoming like some, you know? So that, for me, that was like a wild moment, you know, like, because he got fouled. He's a foul and he's getting into argument with it. And I say it's a proud moment because he's going from that little boy that was just in the house, and now he's interacting with others, and he's becoming part of a standard, like part of the community, and he's that confidence. You know, seeing him have that confidence to be able to go, what's this? I've got fouled. It's so funny to see us. And Mariam, mashallah, may Allah bless her. She's a little angel of Allah, like she never gives us any trouble. Like the two boys, and it's part of my fault because sometimes you know what I do with them. I sometimes do like little and bro, they go for me, man. And then mom's like, no, don't do it because when they get older, I said, no, I'll slap them up when they get older. But that, you know, mashallah, they get really rough with each other. And Maryam, mashallah, she along with her mom was saying that the other day that, you know, she just tidied up the house, like their room, not the house, the room. Just surprised her mom, just tidied it up. And I was like, wow, like, you know, subhanAllah, it's that kind of, she's growing up and she's realizing that things might be getting a bit difficult for her mum. She goes, you know what, let me just do it before she asks me to. And mashallah, her hifd is coming along really well as well. She's on Surah An-Nur at the moment. So, and I know some brothers, mashallah, they have younger ones who are doing a lot much better. But I don't like to compare different children because Yahya himself, he's not at the level where Maryam was when she was 6. Like his attention span is slightly different, let's just say. Yeah. So you just have to take each child as they come. You can't treat every single sibling the same. They're different, even if they're in the same house. They're different personalities, and they're different abilities, and they're different interests. So if one is really good at hifz, doesn't mean all of them are really going to be really good at hifz. So it's encouraging them in different ways. And Allah Barak, they all give me jokes. And Maryam, mashallah, she likes telling jokes. So the other day, I've taught them a joke a long time ago, and they don't realize you can't tell me a joke I told you. You know what I mean? Like, why did the banana go to the doctors? You know? Because it wasn't peeling well. Yeah. Why was the what was another one? Why was the skeleton sad? Because I had nobody to pray with. Nobody. So you feel that, bro, I'm into dad jokes.
Dad jokes are lot, bro. We should do a whole episode of you just telling me dad jokes, huh?
Oh, bro, it's hilarious. So alhamdulillah, we have so many good moments, and that's the main thing is the memories, right? The gifts they can forget. They gotta forget. Oh, bro, they break these toys every time we get them toys. It's so annoying. And I'm there playing with the toys. Like, no, come here, let me fix it for you. But alhamdulillah, the memory is what they remember, and literally that's the thing that they refer back to all the time. Remember, Baba, when this? Remember this? Then I never heard them say, "Oh, remember this toy." And I heard them say that. Even the ones I've secretly thrown away.
Unless like the toy is attached to a moment that spent with somebody. I find that sometimes, like for example, like a pair of shoes came from like their nanny or something. Then they'll be like, okay, yeah, nanny got me this, and
you know, saying that, I think I was about to throw away this little camel or something. I was like, no, play with this. Sometimes I'm trying to clear out their toys. It takes up a lot of space. And then they go, no, that was Dada Rahman's. May Allah have mercy on her. She passed away in 2021. She Dada Rahman got us. I was like, you know what? Yeah, all right, fair enough. They had like attachment to that. Okay, no worries. It's safe for now. Alhamdulillah, no.
Okay, Zakariya, Jazakallah khair for joining me. God bless you and your family. MashaAllah.
No, thanks for having me. I mean, you're
a busy man, but you're, MashaAllah, like we said, you're doing what you can to stand by your family, and it's good for brothers to hear this. You know, it's not just there for you to say, oh yeah, I'm doing this and that. It's the whole thing is, you know, we've got anybody who's listening is able to take things away from this and to know that many of our struggles are the same.
Yeah. I'm just another dad like you guys, man. I'm nothing special. I've seen some of your other episodes here, and mashallah, some amazing brothers. May Allah bless them and keep in the good that they're doing. I'm just a standard guy, like, you know, just running about whatever's going on. And if we can support each other, if you can help me out being a dad, I'm here for it, you know.
I appreciate it, Zach, and we'll leave it there, inshallah.
May Allah bless you. I'll after that.